and welcome to Knit with Hannah. I'm Hannah. Today we are putting pockets in scarves. Hi and welcome to Knit with Hannah. I'm Hannah. I'm here with Knitting Natter to help you learn to knit the easy way. We're putting pockets in scarves today. 2 weeks ago we did fringe. You can also go and look at that tutorial because they would be perfectly matched. You put pocket in it and then you can also add a fringe. And we put tassels on scarves last week. So we're talking scarves. So let's put some pockets in scarves. Now it's likely going to be a longer video because we need to use 2 different techniques. One for putting the pocket on one end, and then we use a different technique for putting the pocket on the other end. So just be prepared for that. It's not difficult. You can do this if you're a beginner knitter. It's just a really great way to intentionally add a little bit more zing to what you're knitting. You can do this whether you are using garter stitch or whether you're using stocking stitch. Just be aware of how large you want the pocket to be, how wide your scarf is, and I'll show you the more intricate details in the tutorial. Here we go, let's get some pockets in scarves. I'll just show you the piece of the scarf that is ready and waiting for the pocket. I have 25 stitches on the needle. 4 stitches on each side are holding the border in place, and we have 17 stitches through the middle here of stocking stitch. Now at the top here I'm preparing for the pocket by doing 3 rows of garter stitch. So we have 2 rows showing here that I've knitted from the purl side. Now that is basically so the top of the pocket won't roll as we add it. What we have here is a pocket that I've knitted up. Now this is a small pocket, you will understand that. It can be for an adult scarf to hold a smartphone or keys, or what I've decided this is for is actually for a child's scarf. And I've knitted up as many rows as I want it to be deep, and that includes allowing for this garter stitch and 1 more row. So what I'm going to do is do that 1 more row and show you. We add the pocket in 2 stages. So the first row is just going to create the space for the pocket. What I'm going to do is just get some yarn ready so that I am prepared to create the space. So with this row, like I said, we need to create that hole. So let's do that here. I'm going to knit the 4 stitches on the border, then 1 stitch in the middle, and then I'm going to cast off 15 stitches. So I need to knit 1, 2, and then I cast off that first stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 13, 14, 15, and my hope is that I will have 5 stitches on this side of the needle, and I will. So I'll just knit all the way to the end of the row. So that is the whole of the pocket. You can imagine someone putting something in there. Now we get this ready, and this is all ready and prepared to knit the next row with the purl stitch. So we are prepared. It's sitting on the needle in the right way. This is just the end of yarn. Now if you don't have a spare pair of needles in the right size like me, you can use a stitch holder and then put these stitches onto a smaller size needle. You don't want to stretch them by using a larger size needle. So I'm using 5mm needles. I'd put it onto 4.5 or 4mm needles just to knit this last row. And what I'm going to do is start this row by knitting the 4 rows, the 4 stitches of the border. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm then going to begin again creating this stocking stitch effect, and that is meaning I purl that first stitch, and then where are the next stitches going to come from? Of course they're going to come from the pocket that I've knitted up earlier, and I'm going to purl all of these stitches. So it will feel a bit awkward, especially as that first stitch is loose, but just bear with it and then it will feel easier. And as I get through these stitches, it will feel more natural. And what I'm going to do is just stop there and pull that one just a little bit tighter so that length is there. Right, we have the 4 stitches of border and 1 stitch left of stocking stitch, so that is another purl stitch, and then knit the border, and we have our pockets all ready to sit at the back, and we have the border of the pocket here with the cast on edge. If I knit one more row, you will see that it's just very much more obvious. There we go. So that is the pocket at the first end of the scarf. And sewing that on is just a case of you can knit a few more rows and then sew it on if you like. What you have to do is, and you can also wait until you finish the scarf completely and then do all the sewing. So you don't have to do this now. What I'm going to show you is a very simple way to do this. You hold on to that first stitch on the end of the stocking stitch there, and then you pick up the first stitch of the pocket there and the next row and the next row there. So don't take it like it's the worst thing in the world, like you hate sewing seams. It's just very simple slipping one stitch and slipping the next stitch. You can see the little loops there, one stitch at a time as you go down, and then you can see the corresponding rows there, one stitch at a time as you go down. So that is very easily attached to the back there, and you can already see that is there, and then my finger points through there. So that is really well attached now. So it's not complicated, it's just a case of picking up one stitch from the pocket and one stitch from the main scarf. And that will appear seamless once you've gone all the way down. See, you really cannot see that at all. Okay, so sew all that on. Either you can sew all the way around the pocket, either when you've done a few more rows, or like I said, when you've finished the scarf completely. I'll see you in a bit when I've finished the scarf, except for the last pocket. I've knitted all the way through the scarf. Here is the pocket on the other end that we did before. I've knitted all the way through the scarf, and I now have this at the end, and I'm ready to add the next pocket. Now this is a different method because we're approaching the pocket from a different side. What we're going to do, I've got to the right place where I want to put the pocket, and if you are following a pattern it will tell you exactly what you're doing, where you're going to. I'm going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is exactly where we were before we added the last pocket. And this is where the stitch holder comes in. What you can do if you don't have a stitch holder is use a spare needle. The spare needle is going to get in the way as you carry on knitting, but you know, it's an option if you don't have one of these yet. And I'm going to put these stitches on the needle until I have 5 stitches on the other side of the pocket. There we go. 5 stitches sitting here, and these are all the stitches I need for the pocket. Now, I need to create stitches to knit the front of the pocket. So what I'm going to do is make sure those stitches don't fall off the needle there, and I'm going to cast on. What I'm going to do is turn this around, pick up the thread, and use this other needle to help me. That will let me cast on stitches. And I'm going to cast on with the knitted cast on method. So that means going into that stitch as if I was about to knit it, yarn around, pull that loop through, but instead of going onto the left hand needle, it goes back onto the right hand needle. And I'm going to do that all the way across, as if I was about to knit the stitch, but it goes back onto the left hand needle. Basically, I just need to replace the stitches that I've put onto the stitch holder. 2. Okay, and now what we can do is move that around and make sure these stitches aren't twisted. Carry on knitting. Just knit across the rest of that row. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. There we are. That's looking good. So that's the top of the pocket along with the first couple of rows, and then when I've knitted all the way to the end of the scarf, I just put these stitches back on the needle, and that's when I will knit the flap that sits on the back of the scarf and sew it on. There you are. So that's the pocket for the other end of the scarf. Brilliant. You've finished your pockets and you've finished your scarf. So that means that you can finish there if you like. Just make sure the pockets are sewn to the back and you have your finished scarf. Or indeed you can sit down and think what to do next. If you'd like to add fringe, you can do that with this video here. That was just 2 weeks ago. It's a really great way to just add that extra intention, the extra, you can do extra colours with it. You can use colours that you've used throughout the scarf just to bring it together and give some kind of finish to it. A great way to just up the ante with the way that you knit. I'll see you again next week. Do subscribe so that you're notified whenever there's a new video, and hit the notifications bell too. That will mean that YouTube will let you know whenever there's a new video. I'm here every Tuesday, every week with a new YouTube video all about knitting and nattering. I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Happy knitting.